Hello everybody, welcome back. Coach Fury here, and we're back with my Let's Play of Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2017. So I think last time we touched on that if there was any big trades at the trade deadline, we would stop and see how the progress of the team goes from there. Unfortunately that wasn't the case. I did try and get James Harden from Houston, who they haven't been performing very well for the past couple of years on this, but unfortunately I still didn't have the pieces that they wanted to try and move him. We were looking at a package of, I believe it was D'Angelo Russell, Mozgov plus 3 picks. I think we were looking at. They still weren't biting. Same thing with John Wall. I tried to get John Wall, but that was more of a package around Ingram, Russell and picks, and that wasn't the case. So unfortunately we only had to make one minor move really at the deadline, and that was, if I scroll forward a bit, there's obviously quite a lot of action that's happened at the deadline, but for us it was this one here. So we moved Mozgov's contract finally. We had to forfeit a first round pick this year, which was ours, so I wasn't too bad about that one because I was fairly confident that we would make the playoffs, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we mainly moved it just for Joe Johnson and his expiring contract, so that saved us about $14 million next year, and I think $16 million the year after, which has given us around about, I think, $34 million in cap space now into the off season, which is really good. Gives us a bit more flexibility, and obviously we mentioned last time that we have New York's pick this year as well, so we have a first round pick anyway, so I felt that was adequate compensation to finally clear the last hanging contract off of our books from when we started this Let's Play a couple seasons ago, so that was good. In terms of other news, there were some really interesting moves. So you can see here that Oklahoma moved Steve Adams for Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony is not quite the same Carmelo Anthony as he was, but he's still a really good scorer in this league. It was a really interesting move. He still obviously scores really well. That's pretty much all he does. He's got to play some fairly good defense. It was interesting to see that move sort of happen. I did look at Anthony, but I felt his contract and kind of was in the right place. He's a sort of piece that probably is an ideal fit for Oklahoma, in that he will be a second sort of tandem to Westbrook, and they kind of do need someone to take the scoring load off of Westbrook. So I can completely understand that move. Interestingly, this is the one that I was really annoyed about, really, because Minnesota moved Zach LaVine and Dirk Nowitzki, who's pretty much an expiring contract, for Eric Bledsoe and a second round pick. Eric Bledsoe is someone that I've been trying to get for ages, and they were not biting on it at all. So he's a really solid player in this game, a really solid point guard. So I was a bit disappointed we couldn't get him, but in my opinion, what that does open up is it opens up a possibility of Chris Dunn becoming available in a year or two's time. So we'll see how that one sort of comes out. In terms of other moves, there's a couple of minor ones really here. You can see some basically nothing moves. Decker, Snell, Patterson moved from Minnesota to Dallas for Bogdanovic and a second round pick. A couple of free agency pickups for some teams. You can see here Exum Green moved to Chicago for Gibson and a second round pick. So there was a couple of minor moves. I think Philadelphia sort of panicked a little bit with this one, and they, for some reason, they moved Henderson and their first round pick for Green, and I'm not sure how Green's going to fit in here. He's a solid player, don't get me wrong, he is a very solid player, but where's he going to fit in this rotation exactly? I mean, they've put him in as a seventh man. Do they really need him alongside the likes of Okafor, Embiid, Simmons and co? I mean, perhaps it's a panic because they're a bit worried about Embiid walking in the off season, or possibly. I mean, I don't know, but for me that was a bit of a strange one. But looking at how we're sort of standing up in terms of the conference, you see here we've probably dropped a position since we last spoke. We've simmed through now to more or less most of the season, and we're currently in the 8th seed again. Looks like we could be facing Golden State. Probably will be facing Golden State. I can't see us catching Sacramento, but we've got a big game coming up. In that you see here we're sort of 5 games off of sort of dropping out of this hunt, which is comfortable. We've got precisely 5 games of the season left, so this game coming up here against Toronto is going to be essential for us. Just to touch on fairly quickly as well, we haven't put Joe Johnson into any lineup for us. He's sort of sitting as 10th man. For those of you who know Joe Johnson, he's a really good scorer. He's kind of past it now. His defence isn't particularly great, and I felt that I wanted to give more minutes to Kirkland anyway and help him develop. He's obviously going to be on the books longer than Johnson is probably, so that's where we were going with it. So we've got a big game coming up here next against, I think it's against the, if I skip through, I think it's against the Clippers. Yeah, so is it the Clippers? I think that's the Clippers. So the LA Clippers. So if we win this game, we'll be basically safe and we're in the playoffs. If we don't, then we've still got to try and win at least one more game. So we'll just sim it. I won't play it through on the actual get play-by-play. We'll just sim it and see how we get on. Hopefully we can get the win that we need. No, it looks like we haven't, so we've dropped yet another game. The Clippers, I think, are in safe playoff territory, so we'll see how they do. Our next game coming up is against Oklahoma. So we've got Oklahoma, Denver, Memphis and Portland. I'd like to think that we can at least win one of these games to secure our playoff seed. Portland is still 5 games back. I think we might be safe now, but let's just play through this and see. It'd be nice to finish with above 500 record as well, so I'd like to at least win 3 of those games, just so we can sort of get above that really. That'd be really good. So Oklahoma's going to be a tough one. They won 58 games and it looks like we've lost that one as well by 7 points. That's frustrating. Good thing is that I don't think Portland are going to catch us hopefully now. So 35 and 43, so I think we're safe in the playoffs. We're probably going to be the 8th seed, which means we're up against Golden State again, which is going to be frustrating. We're probably not going to beat Golden State. They are the team to beat in the division, the conference, and just in general in the whole of the league. So just it would be nice just win the last 2 games, the last 2 or 3 games, and just get over 0.500. Come on. So we've lost to Memphis. That's annoying. We're probably going to finish with a losing record in the playoffs. Can you believe that? Which is annoying. I think it would have been nice to. We had such a good start, and probably Mozgov, whilst he is a bit part player, probably did affect us losing him because he was our sort of backup centre. He did play some minutes. A big game against Portland here, and we've lost that. We had to win that. So they now I think are quite close to us. I'm not sure how many games we've got left actually. Let's have a quick look at that. Let's see how we get on. So I think we're now safe. Yes, that was the end of the season. We are in the playoffs. We are with a losing record in the playoffs, and we are up against Golden State, who finished surprisingly actually with a 68-13 record. I do expect them to have sort of broken records with that one this season. They were 40-4, I think, at one stage, so they've sort of stepped back a bit. You see here the Western Conference is fairly strong at the top. You've got 3 teams there with 60 plus wins. Oklahoma City, obviously that Carmelo Anthony trade must have worked out fairly well for them because they've knocked Minnesota down, who dropped. So for us, we're going to be up against Golden State. It's going to be a tough playoff game for us. Looking at other games, let's just look at the West first actually. Looking at the West, so we've got obviously us against LA. Let's see if we can sim forward actually and see if we can get the playoff standings happening. So we'll have to sort of finish the season now. There's obviously a couple of big games left. We'll see if we can get the playoff sort of charter thing up that they have. That's probably better to look at than the actual finished conference standings. No, it's not kind of happened yet. Just kind of try and sim through and get this to load. Here we go. So, yeah, we're up against Golden State. Minnesota, San Antonio. I didn't expect Minnesota to get through that one. For me, I think the big one is going to be in the West is Denver, Sacramento. So Sacramento have got a fairly good team. It's going to be Cousins versus Nurkic and Jokic there, so that'll be tough. So I kind of expect the upset probably to come there if it is in the first round for us. I can't expect us. I think if we win one game, I'll be amazed. I expect us to get completely whitewashed by Golden State. So looking across at the Eastern Conference, so Boston against Chicago. So Chicago hung on in there in the playoffs. Boston have done fairly well. Milwaukee surprisingly dropped from the first seed to the third seed. I wonder if they had an injury to Giannis or something. No, just have a little look. No, only minor injuries, so that's interesting. They've dropped down, only managing to get 54 wins, so perhaps they've started to rest Giannis, possibly. Philadelphia jumped back up, as we commented last time that they were sort of surprisingly not doing very well, so that's interesting. They've jumped back up, but the East is going to be a really interesting one, I think, to see, because there's a lot of teams in there that could cause an upset. So you've got Cleveland with LeBron James in the 5th seed against Indiana. We've got Paul George. So that Cleveland, funnily enough, I'd expect Cleveland to win that, but it could go either way. Miami, Milwaukee could be an interesting one, because Miami have got Whiteside still, who is really, really good in this game. So it'd be interesting to see how they do front court versus back court. I expect Philadelphia to beat Brooklyn, and I expect Boston to get through in that. So we've got a big game here against Golden State coming up. Let's play the first game with it in this episode. Let's see how we get on. We'll play through on the actual playthrough. This could lag, so just a bit of advance warning. This may have a slight impact. We'll see how we get on with that. We're gonna sort of try and see if we can change the display around a little bit. See if we can get it so that we can see it all on the actual. That's not it. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Settings. That's what we want. I'm just going to try and change the output view, because obviously we can't use quite zoomed in. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we can do that partway through the game. So we'll play. We'll talk about Golden State first, and then we'll play the game. I'm not sure how much of it you'll be able to see on the screen, but we'll see how that goes. So obviously they've got a phenomenal starting team. Pretty much hasn't changed to how it is in real life in terms of the starting 5. The only one is obviously Randolph is in there. That was their big acquisition signing in the off season that they brought in. He's pretty much done the job for them. Just doesn't really have to do a great deal, to be honest with you, apart from grab boards. They've obviously got the likes of Barnes sort of off the bench, who they brought back. In terms of the rest of it, I mean, for me, I think if we can cause their stars into some foul trouble, that's our biggest opportunity, really. So in terms of how we match up, so obviously we've got Curry against Livingston. That's going to be difficult. I think if we can get the ball into the likes of Gobert and Noel and sort of force them into the paint, we might get some success there. So we'll see how that goes. Let's play through this game and see how we do. So obviously we're not expected to win this, being the 8th seed. If we can get one, I'll be delighted. That'll be the main aim of this. So yeah, unfortunately it looks like it might be a bit zoomed out on the screen for you guys. Let's play it in the Gamecast. I've not actually done that before. We're not going to control the team. We'll let the CPU do that. We'll let our coach do that. We've played 2D before. We've not played Gamecast before, so I'll see what that looks like. I think it's just a slightly different option that you can see. I'm not sure how much this you guys are going to be able to see on the screen, but see if we can zoom this around. That might be a bit better. We'll try that. See if that looks a bit better for you guys. So I've not played the Gamecast before, so it looks like it's a bit of a sub screen. We'll just adjust some of the positioning on here so you can see the whole screen. That's kind of the main thing we want to see. The right hand side is talking about Golden State stuff, but we don't want to talk about that too much. So we'll go in zoom 10. I think what this does is rather than have the 2D image up, it sort of gives you a little bit more of a sort of stat line score. so it gives you a bit more of a play-by-play, as you can see on the right here. We'll go through fairly quick first half. We'll see if we can stay in this game, and if it does become close, we'll zoom it down and slow it down a little bit and see how we get on. So you can see the openings, Golden State are sort of starting to blow us a bit here. 6-2 lead early on. See if we can hold on here. Main thing, I think, if the likes of Russell can actually turn up and Ingram can turn up, I think talent-wise we're not that far off. Obviously Durant and Curry are all-stars, future Hall of Famers in this game, but obviously we've got a bit of an issue at the point guard position. Looks like Livingston's may have fouled out quite early there. Not sure he fouled out or subbed out, but Ingram, Noel, Gobert should be a fairly good match. I expect Durant to beat Ingram, but the likes of Noel and Gobert against Looney and Please, I expect them to have an absolute field day against them. That's how we've built this team. You see we're sort of hanging on in there in the first quarter, which is really interesting. We're sort of pushing them a little bit, which is good. I think the main thing, like I said, is if we can get that backcourt sort of from destroying us, because Thompson and Curry are so lethal in this game. That's the main thing, and we've jumped out to a lead in this first quarter, which is really interesting. That's really good. If we can sort of keep up that intensity throughout this game, that'd be great. We're holding to 33% field goal percentage, by the way. You guys can't see that on the screen, but we are at the moment, which is really, really good. Obviously we're not shooting too well either. We're shooting about 40%, so we're going into the second quarter here. We're up by 1. See if we can keep that going. As soon as I say that, we always seem to start losing. I just jinx this team at times. Interesting that their bench, they've gone with Hill, McCall, Barnes, Green, Randolph, so they kept Green in there, but that might be an opportunity for us to have a look at for the next game. When their bench comes in for periods, do we go full strength there and see if we can get points back against them? We'll have to have a little look at that, but we're sort of holding here. We're only down by 3 now, which is good. Going into this second quarter, midway through now. It looks like for them, obviously Steph Curry's having a good game. He's got 9 points there off of a turnover. For us, on the other hand, looks like Ingram is playing fairly well. His shooting's not too good. Bit disappointed by Noel and Lance Jr. shooting here. 1 of 6 and 1 of 4. We can't have that. We need to perform better than that. Coming in towards the end of this second quarter now, we're sort of being blown out a little bit now. 8-point gap. So if we can pull that back before the end of the half, down by 9 now. So unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to be able to pull that back, but we're still down by 12 now, going into the third quarter. Do I have to press the play button, do you reckon? Ooh, may have frozen it here. So we're down by 12 at the half. Yeah, okay, so we're down by 12 at the half. That's not great. We started really well though. We took that lead, but obviously they've come back and stepped up. 30 points in that second quarter has really sort of stepped them out. Durant's obviously playing really well. Let's see how we do in this second half. Let's see if we can pull something back here. If we can just keep it reasonable, that would be promising. Obviously, I think we're on the road here, obviously, so it's going to be tough. I think our best chance of winning a game is going to be at home rather than on the road. Russell's having surprisingly quite a good game, 5 of 10 there, which is good. But we're slowly getting blown out here. They're sort of stepping up now. Durant and Curry with 39 points combined is killing us now. Our shooting hasn't been very good. We're shooting 37%, so the front court's been really disappointing in terms of that. I would have expected them to do a lot better there. They've shot 2 of 10 combined, which is not good enough, unfortunately. We need to get them performing a lot better. I would have expected them to do a lot better against this front court. I mean, they've chucked Green in the centre. They obviously had a bit of small ball against us. possibly that might be one of the reasons, but I still think that the traditional sort of big man would have more of an impact, so a bit disappointing in that sense, and we're getting completely blown out now. What's that? That's nearly 30 odd points now, which is not good. We've just shot atrociously. Disappointing, definitely disappointing, but you know, we're not expected to get through in this playoffs, so if we can win one game, that'd be great. I think for us it's looking at the off-season, looking at free agency and the draft. I didn't have a look at the Knicks pick. I'm not sure where that is. We'll have a look after this game. I'm not sure whether I don't think they made the playoffs, so hopefully that's a lottery pick, which will be good. But for us, I think that's where we're going to look at for next couple of episodes. We'll probably finish the our playoff run this episode. I don't think we'll play through in the podcast this gamecast unless we have a sort of decided game. I think we'll just sim through. Just for me, the disappointing thing's been Noel and Gobert. I would have expected them to just do better. Joe Johnson's come in now. Looks like we've hit some fouling issues. If he's playing, he's like our 10th man, I think, on this. Yes, we're blown out here. 19 points. They've got their bench in now. They're just resting players, which is a bit disappointing. But you know, champions are making a statement, aren't they? Really, to begin with, they'll expect to win this in 4, knock us out, and move on to bigger things. But yeah, a bit disappointing. But it was that middle, second and third quarter that killed us. Really, I think. Player again must be Steph Curry. 34 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. He had a really good game against us. So, we'll move on. See if we can get one on the road. You never know. We might be able to nick one. If we can nick one, that'll make it really interesting. If we could bring it back to home, get one there, go back to theirs at 2-2. That'd be really interesting. That would be worthy of another little playthrough. But we'll exit this. Don't know what happened there. We'll just bring back the screen as it is. Here we go. Right, so quickly, I'm just going to have a quick look on the standings and just see how New York finished. Okay, so they finished with a negative record. It's going to be a mid-lottery pick, probably 34 and 48, unless we get some lottery luck, but that's good. We get another solid player, hopefully, which will be good. So we've got next game on the road against the Golden State. We lost by 13 there. That was fairly close. Let's have a little look at the box score and see how we got on. So interestingly, we had just that poor fourth quarter that let us down. Really, we were matching them neck and neck through this. We shot a lot better. They didn't shoot as well as us. Looks like we may have lost it at the free throw line. So they shot 22 times at the free throw line, which probably killed us. So if we can limit those fouls at home, we might be able to nick one here. See how we get on. Oh, look at that. We've managed to nick one on at home. 109 to 114. That's brilliant. There were some signs in that second game that we were into this. So it looks like we didn't shoot too well, but Noel finally, looks like our front court finally stepped up a bit. Noel having a really good game. Really pleased with that. That's good. So we're not going to get completely whitewashed and swept, so that's good. Let's see if we can get it to 2-2 and take them back home with that equal record. We've got an injured player, it looks like, so that's not good. No, so we're down 3-1 now. Who got injured? Ingram. Please don't be a serious injury, that'll kill us. Sore calf. Okay, that's not too bad. Ooh, just got a load of pop-ups coming up. What's going on here? There we go. So we're going down 3-1. We've got, we're probably not going to win one on the road, but to lose 4-1, that's still not too bad. I'm just happy that we got one, to be honest with you. I think Golden State are going to win it all again. They're really, really strong in this. Steph Curry, Durant, you can build any team around them and they'll win everything pretty much. We'll take a look at some of the other playoff games and sim through. Yeah, we've lost there. I don't know if you guys saw that. We lost by 8, so we're out of the playoffs. So that's not too good. So that's us out. So it looks like they're going to face Minnesota next. Looks like all the other games in the West have been wrapped up except that one that I commented on that I felt Sacramento could win. So they have 3-2 up against Denver. So it looks like Oklahoma City facing whoever that is. In the East, Boston are through. Cleveland, Indiana's a bit of a bloodbath. Same with Milwaukee, Miami, and Philadelphia, Brooklyn. So the East is a little bit more to play for. So let's sim through. Let's see how this goes. Don't think we've played any games yet. I'm not sure what's going on here. Sim to date. There we go. There we go. Some games played now. So it looks like I want to say Philadelphia through, Milwaukee through, Sacramento have beaten Denver. That's the upset. And Indiana, Cleveland's gone to 7 games. So a big game there. Can LeBron James at the age of 32 pull it out the bag for him? It looks like he has. So looking at the second round, try and sim through just so we can get the names up. It's got to load all the things. That's the problem now. It's a little bit slow because it's loading up all of the next set of fixtures really. So we've played the first set of games here, but just looking at it, it's Golden State, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Sacramento, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Boston, Cleveland. So this is tough. So I expect Boston, Cleveland. I still expect Boston to win that, but that could be 7 games. Milwaukee, Philadelphia. I expect Philadelphia to win that, unless Giannis has an absolutely amazing set of games. They're going to struggle because Philadelphia are a bit more rounded. Sacramento, Oklahoma City. I still expect Oklahoma City to go through, but that'll be tight. It'd be interesting. Golden State, Minnesota. I expect Golden State to win that, but it'd be interesting to see how they get on. So let's just sim through to here. Let's go to there. I think that's more or less 4 games played. Go there, sim through to there, yeah. Let's see how this goes. So some interesting matchups here because there's some really, really good teams that are obviously come through now. For me, I think that if I was to actually pay to go and watch one of these games, I'd really want to go and see probably Cleveland, Boston, just because of LeBron James. I would like to see whether LeBron has something left in him to try and pull this Cleveland side that has been underperforming throughout the whole year and really sort of slowly going away, whether they can bring it back and whether he can just get them to that finals. That'd be a real interesting one at the age of 32. Possibly his last year in Cleveland as well because he's got a player option. Not sure whether he takes that or not. We'll see. So let's see how this is shaping up. So Golden State blitzed Minnesota 4-0. Oklahoma City and dominating Sacramento there. They're all pretty much over. Cleveland struggled, Milwaukee struggled, so just shows that you probably need more than one player to actually get through in this league. So final set of games here. Let's see if anyone's held out. Milwaukee making a bit of a comeback. Boston are through. The West is over as well. So it's just the Milwaukee game left to go. Whether Philadelphia can get that final win that they need. will it go to 7 games? That'd be interesting. In 7 games, I know. I was going to say, in 7 games, I kind of fancy Milwaukee because I expect Giannis to turn up and sort of really get it going. So we've got Golden State against Oklahoma, Philadelphia against Boston. So I actually expect Philadelphia to go through in the East, and in the West, Golden State. So I'm expecting Philadelphia, Golden State set of finals really. Let's sim to this date. Looks like there's a bit of a cooling off period here for teams. That's weird. Not too sure what's going on here. See if we can just sim the day. So it hasn't quite. Obviously a bit of a downtime period because there hasn't been the fixtures haven't been set yet. The game kind of goes a bit slower as the rounds finish because it then has to realign all the set of fixtures up again, depending on when sort of everyone finished. So we might have to sim through a little bit here, day at a time, just to see if we can get it to sort of click on. There we go. Right, so 2, 3, 4. I think that's 4 games more or less there. So we'll sim to that. See how this goes. So it looks like Oklahoma City got one there. So I wonder if I'd be interested to see how Oklahoma City look like they're sort of dominating this. So how's this looking? So Oklahoma City are up 2-1. Interestingly, so obviously Carmelo Anthony must be having a bit of an impact there. And Philadelphia are up 2-1 against Boston. So this is a big game 4 for everyone really. So Philadelphia are up 3-1. Golden State are now 2-2. I didn't expect Oklahoma City to be as close to Golden State. I mean, you look at the rosters. Golden State's roster is a lot better than OKC's really. So it looks like they're sort of slightly pulling up 3-2 there and 3-2 there. So I wonder if these both will go to 7 games. That would be really interesting. I think that'll be the first time that's ever happened. Both go to 7 games. That could be really interesting. Oh, struggling a little bit here. So it looks like both haven't gone 7 games, I want to say. Yeah, so we've got Golden State Philadelphia final. So that's interesting. Philadelphia, who I said started the season pretty poorly as a 2nd seed, sort of came back. Golden State, who pretty much dominated everyone all season, are in the finals again. So looking for, I think, would this be back-to-back championships for them? I think it would be in this league. So started off, Golden State sort of making a statement there, winning the first one. And win the second one, so they've held their home court. Go back to Philadelphia now, see whether they can make a game of it, or whether it's the West dominating again. So 3-0 up, making a statement there, aren't they? Is it going to be a complete whitewash, completely swept 4-0? Yep. Blimey. That just shows the gap. That really does just show the gap, because Philadelphia have got a really good team on this game, and they've just completely been blown out by Golden State here. That's crazy. That is crazy. So interesting. So a couple of questions. I'll leave you a couple of questions before we end this episode. So what do they do? What do people do now? Obviously Golden State is the team to beat. Do the likes of Cleveland and LeBron James, do they part ways now and just accept that they need to move on? Philadelphia, what do? They've got some really good players. They've got some guys at the end of their sort of rookie contracts. Do they keep them and just accept that they're always going to be probably second fiddle to Golden State and just that's it? Or do they move on? You've got the likes of Sacramento in here, who are obviously aging, sort of didn't get out of the first round, I think, for the first time. Do they look to move on and sort of rebuild now? Boston, who were the first seed, obviously got knocked out by Philadelphia. What do? They need to retool. And then finally, just for us, we obviously came in as a late 8th seed. We've got cap room. We've got a lottery pick, hopefully. We'll see where that one lands. Do we make some plays and go quite aggressive this off-season? Or do we carry on developing? We'll see. So, as always, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, hit the like button. And if you want to follow the episodes as they come out, just hit that subscribe button below.